so I thought I would start out the show today with a dramatic monologue. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. And they wonder why those of us in our 20s refuse to work an 80-hour work week just so we can afford their BMWs. Why we aren't interested in the counterculture that they invented, as if we did not see them disembowel their revolution for a pair of running shoes. But the question remains, what are we going to do now? How can we repair all the damage we inherited? Fellow graduates, the answer is simple. The answer is...
I don't know.
I don't know. Name that movie! Name that movie, Anne-Marie!
It's Reality Bites.
Reality Bites! Yay!
Well, if Donald Trump used Legally Blonde's
speeches, then we can use Winona Ryder. Hey! Welcome back, everybody, to Best Concordia, cherished friends. We're so happy you're here. I'm Johnny B, and with me, as always, are my fabulous producers, resident shock jock Anne-Marie Turcotte, and old cottonmouth Kris Millett, who just had a tooth yanked yesterday. So he's having a bit of trouble there, but we're going to help him through. And they're mic'd this week. Hi, guys.
Hey, hi.
Poor Kris. And so this week we're mixing things up a little bit. Normally we would be in the ethnography lab recording our show, but this week, because of Kris's surgery and life happens, reality happens. So we are here in the student lounge, the grad student lounge on the 11th floor of the Hall building.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful. There are no windows. It's a bit of an airless coffin, but, we're doing good, and we're recording, so that is the important thing. And this is our 6th episode, and it's our season 1 finale, and we're calling it Reality Bites. So on this episode, the three of us are going to be taking a look back on this process and reflecting on putting together a podcast, our expectations versus reality, and we also have some bonus clips for you guys, the bloopers, the outtakes, some gems that didn't make it to the final cut, but that we just were not quite ready to let go of. So on this episode, Heather T.R. Wallman will be back talking about reality TV. Sara Breitkreutz is going to reflect on parenting as a grad student, and we'll wrap it up with a naughty tale of student debauchery from Tristan Biehn. Also this week, we are featuring music from the insanely talented Kimberly, a singer-songwriter, piano, and guitar player from Ottawa, who will be playing our end-of-season party with Kimberly in Montreal July 6th. Stay tuned later in the episode for details on that. All right, guys, let's get started.
I've been thinking long and hard about the countless ways to get you to come with me, and now I don't know why you wanna pass this up. I know that I would measure up, 'cause you fit right.
So, yeah. Hey, guys.
Hi.
Hi.
Well, I guess we're just going to,
know what's happening.
have a little... Kris, you didn't get any drugs for your tooth, though, did you?
No, they
No.
didn't give me anything.
All you have is
No
Advil.
gas?
That's so weak.
No gas.
No
We were
gas.
just talking about that you should have gotten a little doggy bag, like a balloon
Totally.
with some gas in it.
That would have been
Amazing.
delightful. Yeah.
To bring
no
back
dice.
home and then
In
Take a look.
joint form?
in a
A
balloon.
balloon.
Put gas in a
Right, we were
balloon.
talking about that yesterday.
Yeah.
And then you just, like...
The balloon, you just like
the
suck
gas.
it in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah.
A doggy bag.
You could really go for
Can I
right
get a
now.
balloon of nitrous oxide to go, please?
Just give it
That'd
to
be
go.
great.
They give you a balloon to bring back home.
Amazing.
Calling me.
Oh, no.
Maybe we have our first caller.
Oh, our first caller. Caller, you're on the
win a
line.
prize.
Welcome to Best
I can't
Concordia.
deal with it. I can't even talk. Why am I answering the phone?
Who is it? Does it say? Oh, it's an unknown number. But all of this sort of is good because talking about your tooth, I think, because it's like, how can I frame this? It's been like this like unexpected shit happening has been kind of the like way of the podcast
I think
a
that's
little
been our
bit.
methodology.
That's been our methodology for sure. Like there's been some method to the madness, but it's been a bit of a like we're just throwing it together as it goes and throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks, right? Like I feel like okay, so if we're gonna like do a little bit of reflection and we look back and like think about when we first started this, and Marie, you had the idea of doing a podcast. Well, okay, well let's start there.
It started with the table.
The table,
And
right?
me being
Oh my God, that
expelled, or how do you say, expelled from my Dungeon and Dragon game.
Wait, what? You got
I didn't-
expelled from a Dungeons and Dragons game?
Yeah, because I probably said something outrageous, and then they said we can't deal with you
Because
anymore.
you're the shock jock.
Yeah.
You're the Howard Stern of our
Yes.
department.
Apparently. so I went to, like, I decided that I should go into, like, I should meet new people that because I feel that we're always with people that think the same as us.
Uh-huh.
And we surround ourselves with people that are similar to us.
Yes.
And that don't shock our values. And I decided that I should go in a different place where people are really different and just try to understand and like play and be in a group with them. So I chose to enter a Dungeon and Dragon group. And then after I know. Well, it had to be.
Do you know what Dungeons and Dragons was?
No, it was my first time. Well, I knew a little bit
I
about it.
don't,
But I read. I mean, I read
Read
about
up on
it, and I kind of knew. And then I went, and then after 2 sessions, they said, "Yeah, we can't deal with you anymore."
Really?
Yeah.
They asked you to leave?
Yes, they said, "Yeah, we'll continue without you." So after that, I said, "Okay, so."
Oh my God.
So, no, but it's actually, it was really constructive because after that I was like, okay then, what can I do to do the same, but I'll do it on my turf. So I won't be expelled or I won't. And the objective was, okay, so I'll start something at the university where we can bring people that are really different together and have them talk together. So play a little bit, and just have fun, but just try to put together all of those people that maybe think differently or maybe are very different, and all in respect and of their values and their, even if they're different. That was I think the main objective is that to respect different ways of seeing things. So that was the real start of it.
Do you think we've been successful? Do you think that we've been able to bring together people who are quite different, or are we all kind of the same?
Well, we didn't. Maybe I think we should try to find more different people. I think we were open to it. Did it happen? Maybe not. But we were open to it, and we wanted it to happen. But I think at least it also gave us a chance. I think that we, as students, we're caught up in our own research and in our own thoughts and in our own things, and then gave us the chance to have people come in a relaxed atmosphere and then talk about their research and gave us a chance to really get to know them.
Yeah.
I really feel that it was my first chance at really listening to people and give them a chance to really explain. And I found out like every person, one after the other, is really exceptional. I got a new respect for everybody. I find that everybody's research is super interesting. Everybody's super competent. Every person that came here I was impressed with that did an interview, and after that I listened, and I was just new respect and admiration for our colleagues and finding that they're a bunch of exceptional people.
Agree. And that was something really cool from the jump. Like when we started doing these interviews, like I remember that first day I went out with my friend after, and we'd done, I think, Cheda and Gabrielle and Adam. I can't remember if anybody else was that day, but I went out with my friend and we were talking about it, and I was like, it was really cool having these conversations and like having people open up and sort of the like even the journey that you take when you are having a conversation with somebody and listening and hearing what they have to say, and at the same thing, like respect and admiration. When I'm having these conversations with people, I just feel our relationship open up, and I feel like I have, created something with them where we become closer, and I understand. And it's not always an opportunity that I feel like we have at school.
I think the department lacks that deeply. We're all working on very different projects from very different lenses, even though we're in the same department.
Right.
And there's nothing at all that brings us together until you now, Johnny B.
Oh, wow. No, it's the podcast, but
you know what I mean, in the sense that
yeah.
you're like, this is an opportunity where at least one person kind of gets to bring everyone together under a certain kind of horizon, which we had that in our cohort last year when we were forced to be together, but we definitely don't have that now. And some of the people that we've had on the show that you've interviewed are dear to my heart, but I barely see them.
Yeah, it's
anymore.
true.
Never mind get to talk intimately about the connection between their life experiences and their research. So.
Right. And something I hear a lot, and that I'm totally guilty of saying myself, and when I see somebody I haven't seen in a long time, or, just passing in the hall, is, I don't really want to talk about my work. I don't really want to talk about my research. Like, when somebody asks you, well, what are you working on right now? It's kind of like the dreaded question, because you're like, So it's been nice because people are like, it's like a place where you can talk about your research. Nobody, and I think some of that maybe comes from, my own insecurity about, nobody's going to want to hear about this. Nobody cares about what I'm doing. I'm the only one who gives a shit about this. So, I don't really want to talk about it because I'm a little bit embarrassed. You know what I mean? But here, it's no, we want to put the spotlight on that part of what you're doing and showcase that, because it is super interesting. It's it's really cool stuff. So yeah, I'm glad that we've been able to create space for that.
It's really wanting to showcase, like you said, and
yes,
and give people an opportunity to talk about their work, and then it's not a conference where it's stressful. It's a relaxed atmosphere, but at the same time, our objective is to really showcase them and their research.
Right.
And
which is interesting because I talking about did we find a group of people who were diverse or who had diverging opinions? I think the people we had on the show, it was a convenient sample, right? It's these are the people who were there who would come in and talk to us.
For sure.
Who we knew we could get, right? And it was and part of that too, I think, was comfort level too, because I knew pretty much everybody who we interviewed with a few exceptions. But, and part of that too is that we want to showcase people. We want to show them at their best. So I feel like we didn't really get too deep into critical analysis in this podcast, but maybe that's okay, and that's not what the point of the podcast is.
And I think maybe as we evolve and go on, we'll gradually incorporate more diverse. I think we wanted to, maybe it did not happen, but in the same time, I don't know.
Yeah, I think we took some and especially towards sort of maybe some contentious topics.
Yeah.
We sort of took some baby steps, some tentative steps towards those issues. But like you said, it really was more about, making people look good and generating some excitement about what was happening in the community.
Plus, we want it to be organic. We don't want to have people just for shock value.
No.
We want diversity, but we don't want diversity just for the sake of it. We want it to be organic, and we want people to come in on grounds where they feel that they'll be respected and listened to, and
Yeah, it's not the hot seat.
No, in a very organic and in a very genuine way. So maybe we did, like you said, we got a sample that was convenient because it was our friends and people we study with. But I think we're really open to diversity and we want to go there, but it'll happen slowly.
Yeah, I think so too.
It won't be just putting people there just because they're...
Yeah, I think too, because we were building this from the ground up, we had to start with what we know. And, you know, because that's part of the process, right? And as we get more comfortable with the podcast and putting the podcast together, I think we'll be able to reach out and maybe find people outside of our comfort zone.
I think it's still on a play basis. This is something that is kind of a playground a little bit.
Yeah, I think so too. Because we had ideas for things like panels and, you know, there were a lot of, like, you know, we brainstormed up a lot of concepts that just didn't happen. And some of it, I think, is logistics, too, like having multiple people come in. I mean, we had 2 group interviews where it was 2 people, but we really kind of abandoned that. But we don't have the equipment for it, exactly. That was like a practical consideration, right? So if you're listening and you want to donate some money to the cause, help us have more than one guest at a time.
We'll get there.
For sure. And then part of that, like, wanting to make people look good, too, I think, has been a little bit, you know, we're editing interviews and we're, like, you know, we're picking moments that we think are interesting. But, like, has that been difficult, Kris? Because you've been in charge of the editing. Kris puts together our episodes, and he's the one that sort of has the final say. He's like the puppet master of the episode, really.
Yeah, it's difficult. You run the risk of completely kind of sabotaging the natural vibe and representation of the person that you're putting out there. If you're making too many edits here, there, and there, and there, you're taking things out of context, you're chopping things up, and it's no longer representative of what happened that day. So as you're talking about it being an organic podcast, we want it to be like, feel the experience of 2 people having a nice, warm, intimate chat, and then we're like cutting and pasting things and moving them around. So you really run the risk of making a lot of mistakes trying to make it too perfect. And I think that's something that we'll get better with.
Yeah, I think so.
As we go along, and we've been lucky. Our guests have been like pretty much entirely really great. As far as like
pretty much entirely,
yeah.
Somebody wasn't entirely pretty
They've
great.
all been amazing. Everything is awesome.
And you know what? It's not that we're like editing out huge swaths because people are saying like crazy things or like they look really bad. Like it's not that.
No. And in fact, I should clarify. It's mainly due to trying to keep it into an hour-long episode.
Yes,
we're just trying to take the parts that we think are relevant. It is not a case of like we're just sitting around. That's the reason. But when you get into that, you are trying to take the parts that you think go best, and you're trying to kind of like put something together. But I think my other point there is that, you know, we're in classes with these people, we see them or whatever. We're not used to them being radio interview guests, and it's cool to see how they all step up into that role and nail it. Which is aside. I mean, I guess in some senses you see your colleagues give presentations, so you know that they have those. You have to have those skills at this level.
Absolutely.
I guess. But it is cool to see that part of them come out in the
interviews. Well, I was saying to you guys before we started recording, I wanted to talk a little bit about this podcast as performance, and it was something that Adam Van Soetema brought up in our interview. He was talking about the performance of this shared performance and how we were sort of like co-creating this performance sitting here, and like when you sit down in the chair and you've got the equipment in front of you, it's, you know, I think for some people it's like you're like bing, and then there's like a performance. For some people, like you kind of like have to warm up a little bit to get into it. And even me, and even today, like the stuff that we were talking about when we turned on the mic, you know, like it takes a few minutes before you're like, okay, and then you like click into this sort of reality of having this conversation, and then it starts to flow. But like it does take, there's like a hurdle at the beginning, and it is a heightened kind of reality, I think, where we're having a conversation, but we're conscious of being recorded, and that's also like that's what's being recorded is this like exchange between me and you, Anne-Marie, and you, Kris, and it's just interesting how that breaks down. One of the things that a friend of mine was who listened criticized me for, and that I kind of stung a little bit because I'm really self-conscious about this, and I think it's because I'm kind of a people pleaser. So when we're having these conversations, I always say, "Yeah, right." Uh-huh. Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, for sure, absolutely. Like all of these little,
that a bad thing?
all of these little words. I don't think it's a bad thing, and I think it comes from in the flow of normal conversation. I'm saying these things to help the conversation along, to let you know I'm listening to you. You're being heard. Exactly.
Yes.
Right. Thank you for reassuring me. But when I listen back to it, I don't know what your experience of this is, and this was what my friend was saying, that it was just. He felt like there were parts where it was too much, and maybe sometimes it's nerves from me being in this performance space. But I think sometimes I could maybe just sit back and let people talk instead of. But I've been listening to other podcasts that I listen to. And my favorite podcast is What's the Tea with RuPaul and Michelle Visage. And RuPaul does it. RuPaul will be like, That's his like favorite thing is And so I'm like, okay, well, RuPaul does it. But then when I listen to things like, sorry, I'm totally rambling here right now. I hijacked this. But on the CBC, when they're interviewing people, the interviewers ask the question and then they retreat.
Yeah.
And then they let the person have the floor, which... I don't know. But then I don't know what that's like as a guest, right? To have somebody you're talking who's asked you a question and then have somebody like retreat, like, and maybe like I know that like I've watched videos of interviews on Q on the CBC where the interviewer will like they're like really like engaged with the person and they're like smiling and nodding and they're present. You know what I mean? But they're not talking.
Yeah.
But we're recording in an open space, and it's a workspace. It's in the Ethno Lab. So I think it's not a radio station where people are with headphones. And so it maybe needs the reassuring. It's a very big space, very open. I don't know if maybe you can try, but if necessarily... I think maybe the guest needs the extra comforting.
Yeah, maybe.
You're adapting to the environment of the show because it's not conventional that a podcast is recorded in such a big open space.
Like a public space.
With people working all around us and different research group working on different projects all around us, and every day is a different story. Some days are super noisy. Yeah. Some days
not so much.
So maybe the reassuring is a normal thing that you need to do to make your guests feel comfortable.
I'm definitely more conscious of it now, especially because it was pointed out to me. But I think also it's like we want this to be just a casual conversation, right? And part of the conversational tone of the show, I think, is. I'm just going to say right or yeah or and I'm just going to say it and like, sorry about it.
I think also we're very conscious of, not conscious, but we're trying to make it as a project that also use a particular space. And it's not just focused on the result. If we wanted really we get the result we get, but our conditions are we want it to be recorded in that particular space.
In the ethnography lab.
Yeah, so after that, I mean, we get the results that we get.
Right. It's part of the sort of DIY kind of feel of the show, I think, right? Like, it's like... And it's an experiment.
And it's very influenced by the space that we're in.
Yeah.
Because we could do the exact same thing in a radio station, and then the result would be super clear, and maybe you wouldn't feel the need to reassure people. Maybe you would. Maybe you would be able to just listen and not. But
and you're not a questioner. Like,
Right.
you're not Anna Maria Tremonti here. You're not having, like...
But oh my God, how fierce would that be? I love Anna Maria Tremonti.
Wow. And the people coming on are either, like, politicians or experts or highly entrepreneurial people that are...
Yeah,
you
right.
know, or they're
Yeah.
not there yet. And you're not there to get the answers out of them. So it is more of a conversation. You're just trying to stoke a conversation between two people as opposed to nothing, say your piece, next question, follow-up question. Our vibe is a little bit different. So the ahas and everything, I would think, make a lot more sense in this context.
Well, and it's interesting that you talk about the space and the difference between maybe a radio studio and the ethnography lab. Like, do you guys think that, like, how do you think that space affects the podcast? Being in that space, sitting around that wooden table, the famous wooden table, and we know, like, I talked about this on the first episode. You know, it's a beautiful big space, and there's stuff happening. I wonder, you know, for me, it feels comfortable. I mean, maybe in a radio studio, things would just feel a little bit more, maybe more artificial in a sense, because this way it just feels like we're sitting around chatting in the space that we all work in, and it ain't no thing, you know. But
well, I think it plays a big part because you have some colleagues of ours that are there and they're not being heard on the podcast that day, but they are practically beside us in the Ethno Lab, not saying anything, but we know them, we like them. Sometimes they have really great personalities, and like their presence is there, and you're feeding off. If it's like a really hilarious person, they're working on their essay.
For sure,
their presence is affecting what we do and what we say in a way that overrides the fact that they're not actually on the thing. So I think it makes a big difference compared to being in some cold studio.
Yeah.
You know.
What about you, Maddie?
Yeah, I do. I think it's rich. It's very rich. It gives us some richness, but it's in small details. Maybe, I don't know if it translates when you listen, but yes, I definitely think it's very rich because, and also that people, sometimes we got some stories and confessions that I don't know if we would have gotten.
And we couldn't print it.
Yeah, except for the one we're going to air today.
Right.
But we got some stories that I don't know if we would have gotten in a studio, in a regular studio.
Right, because and maybe that wouldn't translate necessarily to people listening, but that is maybe one of the effects of that space. Because it's so comfortable. But also there are people working in that space who we don't know, too, who, they have an effect on things, too, because it's the speculative life research cluster, and there are people working from other groups. Like, it's not just the ethnographers, although, like, when we're there, we do tend to take over the space. In a pretty significant way. But, I don't know. I hope that it's been...
Maybe we should have them on.
We should have them on and ask them, like, do you hate us?
Well, we could start by asking them, like, what they're working on.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
No, it's all about us. How do you feel about us?
Right. How do you feel about us? But this is the thing, right? This is that, like, group. The group of people that we interact with in that lab are the people we feel comfortable with. And I think that's normal and natural, and people do that all the time, right? But there are other people in that lab who are working.
Maybe we need to push ourselves.
I think we do. I think we need to reach out.
Out of our comfort zone.
Yeah.
True.
I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah.
up next, we have our first outtake from our interview with Concordia Anthropology Master's student Heather T.R. Wallman, and I asked Heather about presenting at the Sociology and Anthropology Grad Student Association Conference way back in March, and she talked about her secret passion for reality TV.
Who doesn't love reality TV?
I know. Give me a little Drag Race and a little Real Housewives, and
I don't
I'm good to go.
Maybe I'd like it.
Exactly.
Maybe you would.
You don't know.
Maybe you'd like some manly
You like
reality
it.
TV, Kris, like some Alaska gold mining reality TV.
I would like that.
Ice Road something.
Butch reality.
I hope you get a chance to see what it says. I know it's been a while since I caught up with you, so here's my letter to you, my letter to you. You know it's never easy to know what to say. All the things you worry about.
So one of the things that I know you did this year was participate in the SAGSA conference.
Yeah.
And I got to see your panel, which was about reality television. You're imagining reality, which is seems to be the theme in the Ethno Lab here today. Kimberly and I have been talking about reality TV all day, so it is appropriate that you're here to talk about this. And I loved your presentation. It was imagining reality television on Mars. If there was a reality TV show on Mars that was showing life on Mars and then transmitting back to Earth.
Yes.
And so how did you come to that idea?
Well, first semester, I did a final paper for a class on reality television, and I looked at the TLC show 90 Day Fiancé.
Right.
And with the inauguration, the soon-to-be inauguration of Trump at that time, I found in this show there's a lot of xenophobia. And so I was wondering...
So what's the premise of that show? It's
Okay,
90 Day
I
Fiancé.
forgot. Okay, let's contextualize. So 90 Day Fiancé is a show on TLC that films couples, films American protagonists who have fiancés in other countries who they are allowed to bring into the U.S. on what is called a K-1 visa.
Okay.
So they have to get married within 90 days. And so this
the name
90 Day Fiancé, yes. And so
clever.
So TLC follows them and their journey, as they would put it, their modern journey of finding out if they want to get married.
Right. Their story of love.
Their story of love, and there's many perspectives on the show. But anyways, that was kind of the impetus to it. And so I started looking into different theories of reality television, a lot of stuff which is in media studies, anthropology. I think I wanted to present it at the conference, at least my ideas, because it seems like a lot of anthropological theories are not really being acknowledged in a lot of the stuff that I was reading.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of things that, they'll point out gaps, but I'm like, anthropology can kind of maybe resolve that or try to come up with an explanation, or at least the theories that you can take from them. And I just don't feel like maybe, I don't know, some people might disagree with me, maybe we shouldn't be doing research on television, but I feel like television is such a, not important, maybe that's the wrong word, but it belongs to your everyday life. A lot of people, I'm not going to speak for every person, but I mean, I grew up in rural Alberta.
Yeah.
We watch television. I mean, I was raised by books and television. My parents worked a lot. And I came home, and in the winter, when you don't want to go out at minus 25, you watch television.
Hey.
And then you learn how to converse with others about these television shows. And that's kind of what I was more looking at as well, is how do we engage? A really quick example is my sister and I are very, very different people. We love each other, but we're very different, and we acknowledge that.
Are you close in age?
3 years, 3.5 years.
Okay.
But when we were in a place where we couldn't find a common ground, I started watching these reality television shows that she loves. And so that's another podcast.
Well, because we've been talking about Next Top Model today, which I love /
hence your smizing thing.
Smizing.
My best friend growing up, and she became my roommate, made me watch that show.
Yeah,
I haven't watched it in years though. But she made me watch not made me. Okay, I agreed to watch. She didn't force me in front of the television. I started watching a spin-off of Real Housewives called Vanderpump Rules.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm familiar.
Yeah. And so what I started realizing is, okay, I'm watching this, and it's like, but it cultivates a conversation and why and what's in that, and that's more what I was interested. Right. Not just completely dismissing it as like this is stupid or reality television. I wanted to see what other meanings and knowledge production, knowledge it produces.
Yeah.
And how we try to identify with it. Maybe that's too essentialist, but that's kind of what's cultivated my interest. And that was just a small example. So my sister and I will talk about the show. And that's something that actually really helped us fuse that tension.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, reality TV.
Yeah, I know.
Families together.
I never thought Vanderpump Rules would help me in my relationship with my sister.
I love that. Our next bonus clip features our dear friend Sara Breitkreutz, PhD student in the Social and Cultural Analysis program here at Concordia. And we had a little chat way back, you guys remember this one, about the demands of being a grad student and how she balances being a grad student and a soon-to-be parent to a sweet baby girl. So we're just talking about Sara is pregnant right now. She's expecting her daughter in a few months. Do you have academic shit that's like planned up before you give birth?
I do have a little bit of academic shit. Well, it's so the Ethnolab project is the main thing that I'm going to try to work on from now until over the next couple of months, which I think we'll talk about a little bit later when Maiev is here.
Yes. That's the Cabot Square project.
Yeah, the Cabot Square project. I'm in the middle of my comps.
Ooh.
But I actually have just made, I guess we can talk about this on the, this might be interesting to talk about on the podcast.
Absolutely. I would love to.
So I'm in the middle of my comps. I have 2 comprehensive exams to write.
Okay.
People listening to this will be from maybe outside the department.
I don't really know, but
okay, all right.
we kind of want to talk about these things. But so for anybody who's listening who doesn't know, who's maybe not familiar with the comps process, what the hell is that all about?
So so basically what it means is I am at the point in my degree where I've finished all my coursework.
Yeah.
And in between the coursework and the actual research, there are a couple of sort of requirements that you have to fulfill. In our department, there are 2 comprehensive exams and a thesis proposal. And so the comprehensive exams are basically, the way we do it is that we come up with a reading list about a topic that is sort of related to our interests or our thesis. And then we come up with a reading list and write a paper. And we have 8 weeks to sort of read everything and write it. And we have a committee of professors to kind of guide us.
In 8 weeks?
8 weeks.
That seems like a lot, but also seems like barely anything at all.
Well, I know. Yeah, it's a kind of a weird process. But it's good. It's nice because when you can set aside the time to just focus on a comprehensive exam, it's like one of the only times I feel that, because I finished one of them now, and I actually really enjoyed doing the first one. Okay. It was one of the only times I felt like I could just read. Like what I had to do was read. And I was reading stuff that I was interested in, so it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, and in different departments.
You wrote a paper. That was to write a paper.
Yeah, I wrote a 30 or 40-page paper, and then so that's done. So the first one is done. The second one I have been trying to start for many, many months. And I finished the first one in the summer. I found out I was pregnant in September. I was super sick for the first trimester. I basically could do nothing.
Right.
But lie on the couch. So anyone who's listening to this who is thinking of being pregnant during your graduate school, I think it's a really important topic, actually. And we grad students need lots of support and should talk to each other about their experiences of this. I've had lots of support from professors who had kids while they were doing their grad studies, other grad students. And it's I think for me, the biggest thing is I'm used to, many of us that are doing grad studies are overachievers. We're used to pushing ourselves too hard. And I can't do that anymore. I can't, I have a physical limitation that I did not have before, and also my priorities have shifted a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I still am planning to finish the PhD, and I'm still passionate about my research and what I want to do. But I mean, I just can't pull all-nighters. I can't just like fuel myself with 12 cups of coffee. I can't sacrifice all of these like personal care things.
Yes.
Because it's not just self-care anymore. It's also like...
care for two.
Yeah, right. So, anyway, I'm rambling a little bit. But
that's okay.
So I've been trying to get started on this comprehensive exam. But of course, I have lots of other little projects like the Ethnolab project and some other kind of RA-ship things on the side that always feel more pressing. And it's really hard to sort of like get to your own things. And I finally got to the point where I have my reading list. I had officially started my comp. The timeline would have taken me right up until May 31st, and my due date is June 7th. And
wow.
And I was like, I can do this. That's fine. It's totally fine. And I finally like sat down and thought about it like last weekend and made the decision like yesterday, basically, that I'm not going to try to do it before the baby comes. I actually feel good. Yeah, I feel very relieved.
Yeah, I bet.
I feel a little bit disappointed, but it's like 10% disappointment, 90% relief.
Yeah.
So anyway, if anyone ever is listening to this and wants to talk about these kinds of things, I don't know, you should like write a comment in the...
Yeah,
I don't know how you're going to post
We are on
this.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all of the
all
things.
the social media.
So they can reach out that way for sure, or probably through the ethnography lab too, because your bio is on
That's true.
the lab, so they can come and be like, Sara!
Yeah.
It's a little uncomfortable being by your side. It feels unnatural when we collide, and I know everything's gonna go wrong, but you're kind of incredible, and I really wanna try. I guess I know what I should do. I should say go and forget about you, but my stupid heart fools me again. It tricks me to stay, tells me that there's no way I know. So where do we go from here? Can we pick it up from where we left off? It feels like years from here when I knew how to go and when to stop. But I hope everything's gonna be different this time. Oh yeah. But you're kinda fantastical, and I really wanna try. But I guess I know what I should do. I should say go and forget about you, but my stupid heart fools me again. It tricks me to stay, tells me that there's no way I know. But go slowly, I'm not ready for
Well, that beautiful song was My Stupid Heart by Kimberly Sundstrom, and the video for My Stupid Heart will be linked on our Facebook page and our Best Concordia page, so please go and check that out. It is the first single off her new album, The Kid, The Wall, and The Box, which is going to be released on May 31st, which is 2 days from now. So, how exciting is that? Awesome. And Kimberly will also be playing with our favorite band in the whole wide world, No Fly List, because Best Concordia is going to be having an end-of-season party at Casa del Popolo. Yay! Cue the cheering sound effect. And that's going to be happening on Thursday, July 6th. We want to say thank you to everybody who's been listening, all three of you. So please come down. Yeah, it'll be my mom and my dog, and it's going to be a really fun time. But no, we want to have a big party to say thank you and to celebrate this project and to celebrate all of the fabulous people who have been on the podcast and everybody who's supported us. We really has been such a fun project for us. So that's going to be on Thursday, July 6th, if I didn't say this already, in Montreal at Casa del Popolo, and it's going to be No Fly List, Kimberly Sundstrom, and another band, Wild Mercury, who are an up-and-coming...
They're brand new. They're kind of, I don't know how to describe them. They're a three-piece band, and they're kind of like a psychedelic rock band in some ways, but all three of them sing, so they have these like three-part girl harmonies.
I love it.
And this kind of psychedelic 70s sound, and yeah, they're incredible. So we're really excited to have them come out and play. And they were really sorry that they have practice demos recorded, and they were like, they were gonna maybe send them, and they're like, no, we can't give you this. And I understand as a musician, you want to kind of
for sure
represent how you're gonna sound, and so that they were like, no. So that's
so
fine.
People are just going to have to come down to our party
to see it
and see it live, which is probably the better, different experience.
So
but it's going to be amazing.
It's going to be awesome. So, like we said, we have Kimberly's going to be coming up for this show, and she has this brand new album that she's promoting. So that's going to be really cool.
Oh, I can't wait.
And then my band No Fly List is playing. And so
awesome.
We're going to have a great time.
Yeah, and we're all going to be there.
Yeah, and you're going to get listeners. You're going to get a chance to meet Johnny B.
Wow.
Now, if that's not incentive
I
to
can't wait.
Probably going to need to drink a lot, but don't worry, the bar can provide that. But please come if you don't feel like drinking too, because we want everybody to come and celebrate with us. It's going to be a happy occasion with some great music and some great peeps. So come on down to that Thursday, July 6th at Casa del Popolo here in Montreal. The final outtake we want to share with you guys is a hilarious story from anthropology master's student Tristan Biehn. Now, I asked Tristan about her experience working on our grad student association conference 2 years ago, and oh boy, did she have a story for us. And our producer Kris was also working on the conference that year, so you might hear him chime in a little bit too, because I'm pretty sure he was feeling a certain type of way about this experience as well. He's nodding in agreement, yes. All right, well, take it away, Tristan. Please note that portions of the story have been redacted to preserve the anonymity of those involved.
There's some stories.
Some conference stories.
Oh my
Saturday.
God!
Why? What happened? Saturday was the closing party, right?
Well, so Friday night.
Oh, the Friday night.
Friday night was
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What happened Friday night?
Oh God!
Give me the PG version, or the. Or
I don't
you can
think there is a PG.
You can give me the
version.
unvarnished version if you want.
No, it was glorious.
Air,
okay, so I was in charge of taking us all out that night.
Okay.
And I like to have quite a bit of fun, as you all know. And so
with alcohol.
Sometimes.
Maybe.
And so I was like, let's go to this izakaya, which is really about drinking sake and whiskey and then eating a bunch of small plates.
Ooh.
And that was how we went to dinner.
Yeah.
And the food was really tasty. The atmosphere was extremely lively, like way too lively for a bunch of academics, you know? And so this was with
Redacted.
who was our...
Redacted.
And so this is where I was like, well, yeah, let's bring everyone to this whiskey and sake bar. And then we were drinking and we were eating these small plates and God, the wait staff there, whenever anyone orders a sake bomb, they yell, "Sake bomb!" And so, like, it was super loud, and there was a lot of just drinking and yelling, and it was really, really funny. And so eventually we were like, okay, let's go somewhere a little quieter. And so we went to Brewtopia, and we just hung out at Brewtopia for hours and hours and hours, just drinking pint after pint. We didn't stop until it was approaching 3 a.m. No, it was 2-ish, I think. Do you remember?
Do you remember, Kris?
I have a different side of the story.
Oh, you left early.
Well, we need you on a mic.
Okay,
we'll come back to your side of the story. Okay.
Right.
So,
Kris left early.
Okay.
And didn't.
My side of the story involves showing up the next morning and
Oh, okay.
the conference and
Okay, no, but this is part of the story.
Okay.
This is part of the
We're
story.
jumping ahead. Okay,
And
so
then it was
2-3 in the morning.
Okay,
and
so
you've
it's
had
like 2 or 3
multiple pints.
Well, and then I'm like, we should go get some food, guys.
Right.
And at this point,
Super
it's
responsible.
me and
Redacted.
And-
Redacted.
and
Redacted.
And we're the only ones left, and everyone else is like gone the fuck home.
Yeah.
Because then we closed out. I think it was Irish Embassy. We were drinking whiskey, and eventually they kicked us out.
Well,
Yep.
and then you had a full day of conferencing the next day.
Oh, and I had to give a talk
Oh my
Saturday
God.
morning, and I hadn't written it yet.
What? You hadn't written it yet?
Nope.
Whoa.
I had been organizing. Thank
That's
you.
Right. You were busy with other shit.
So all I had was a notebook with some thoughts scribbled in it.
Oh my God.
Okay, so what I did was, at like 5 or something, I was like, okay, I have to go to the library and I have to get my talk written. And my slides put together.
Oh my God, I'm having an anxiety attack.
Oh,
just
yeah.
listening to this story.
And I am, like, I'm not, I mean, I was still drunk at that point, but the hangover was starting to kick in. It was
Okay.
one of those,
Oh, no.
you know?
Yep.
And so I went to the library and I put some slides together. I took a 2-hour nap under one of the tables in like the corner where a security guard wouldn't bother me probably. And I finished putting my slides together. I wrote an outline of a talk.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, well, that's just going to have to do the trick. And then I fell asleep on the couch in the grad lounge for a while. And then eventually I emerge hungover as shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out we don't have keys to the room.
Oh my God.
So everyone is out waiting in front of the space.
Oh no.
And just like... and we are like clearly the worst organizers ever because none of us thought to have keys.
But like, was it security that had to open it up? Or
Well,
like...
so that's who we called. And at first they were like, no, we can't do that for you. And we were like, listen, assholes, we have pamphlets. This is an official goddamn event. Like, look, it's a trifold. How can you doubt that? Anyway, eventually they took pity on us.
Yeah.
We finally got the room unlocked. We got
Wow.
everyone in there.
And how did your talk go?
God, I don't remember.
You're like, I don't know.
I said things. It wasn't complete nonsense.
Okay.
It
well,
wasn't as
fuck, that's impressive.
well put together as I would have liked, perhaps. But yeah,
Perhaps.
maybe.
And that's a wrap on our
That's the season
finale, you guys. Can you believe it? This has been so amazing. Just want to thank both of you for being the greatest
Thank you, Mr. B.
co-producers. It's been so fun. I've had such a good time doing this. It's like really allowed me to be a ridiculous idiot every week and say stupid shit, and I love doing that, so thank you so much. And I just want to give one last thank you to Adam Van Sertima, PhD
Yes.
student here at Concordia, of Adam and the Snipes fame, for lending us our closing theme, ironically titled "Hello, Hello." So,
And for helping on the recording.
yes, and for helping with the recording too. Absolutely, Adam
helped
has
in
been
so many ways. He did
Yes.
an interview for us. He interviewed you.
yes.
Build the table.
He built the
He
table.
built the goddamn table. So, Adam, you're a superstar, and we love you. And also, big shout out, as always, to the Ethnography Lab and the Speculative Life Research Cluster for hosting us. We love you guys. And remember, we're going to be back. We're going to take a little hiatus. We're going to go and we're going to relax on a beach, hopefully, somewhere, and see the world, live our lives, get out of this dank, windowless coffin, and join the land of the living, which is not the Ethnography Lab. No, it's our offices here on the 11th floor, but which we also, we appreciate them too. But anyway, all that to say, come back next season, and we'll be taking you further along this journey through grad student life. So thanks a lot. Bye-bye. And then has a question.
Are you going to do this speech at our graduation?
The answer is, I don't know. Oh my god. How much do you love Reality Bites, though?
You love that.
I
watched it this weekend.
Yeah, I like it.
Yes, I did.
What are the chances? Or was that planned?
Did you do that on purpose?
Yeah, because you sent me that thing about Generation X, millennials and boomers agreeing that Generation X was the worst generation. Going back.
Love it. A flag. I am beginning to like the sound of that.